What's up, guys? Tom Wiggum, founder of Self-Love Army, back for day 2 of the 30-day challenge for guys to find self-love, self-belief. And last video, we talked about getting some journaling going. We talked about having intense exercise. We talked about making a gratitude list and meditating on that a little bit and more. So today, I want to talk about the importance of meditation and visualization. When we meditate, we essentially clear the decks. We can find a kind of peace, a kind of blankness. It's not necessarily that you stop all thoughts, but you come to distance yourself from the immediacy and the urgency of those thoughts. You can just relax a little. By doing that, it helps kind of put in perspective how important some of that stress really is. If it can just melt away when we relax and shift how we orient to reality for a second. If those stresses can just kind of vanish, how important are they? How much of that comes from within us? How much of that stress is created by ourselves? How much are we putting ourselves in our own prison? And some people might say, yeah, well, I'm doing it to myself. I know I am, but how do I stop myself? You know, they feel like they're a train that's already on the tracks and they can't pump the brakes. We talked about pattern interrupts, the idea of saying that you love yourself as a pattern interrupt, breaking loops. But we're going to talk about how to get different behaviors implemented so that you can start breaking some of these patterns and get out of some of this bullshit you're in. Today, meditation, I don't care if it's 1 minute, build on that momentum 1 minute at a time. 1 minute of meditating. I almost want to just pause this video for like a minute and do it and then come back on and just be that much more relaxed for you guys, or just sit here for 60 seconds. But that'll be horrible content. But on a coaching call, sometimes I will have guys do that. Just take 60 seconds or 2 minutes and just try to go blank and relax. Relax their body, relax their neck, close their eyes, etc. You should do this too. You can look up different ways to meditate. My buddy Chris Alvino has good content on that. He's got a free ebook on it, actually. I'll link to that in the video. And anyways, the point is we're going to be doing some meditating. And it could be a minute a day. You just need to get your mind trained to be able to start relaxing, start dissociating from those things, start learning how to just cultivate that kind of peace and serenity that comes from this, that kind of mental strength, that kind of resilience. Secondly, visualizations. At night, before you go to bed, or if you're going to take a nap, I want you to have something that you play for yourself that you can write it, record it yourself, and play it for yourself. You can find confidence, hypnosis stuff on YouTube. Some kind of self-hypnosis. We're going to take advantage of the fact that the brain is suggestible, that the brain picks up on suggestions behind words and makes associations that are bigger, that a narrative and a story, an association is bigger than the concrete meaning of the words. So as we're relaxing, we're going to play words to ourselves that suggest we're confident, that suggest we love ourselves, that suggest we feel our emotions unblocked, that suggest we're successful. And these things will help us unlock, because when we believe it inside our minds, it's like it's real. It's the old like skiing down the mountain versus imagining skiing down it. The brain can't really tell the difference. So you're actually improving whether you're visualizing it or whether you're actually doing it. You're getting better either way. Same thing with this. When you're visualizing these things, you start making new neural circuits, new associations. You start breaking down some of your old associations. Why is that important? Well, when you have limiting beliefs and anxiety or depression or just thinking you can't do something, it comes like a groove in your brain. It's like hardwired. It's like soldered. Someone took it and went shh and burned it into your brain. And it's a pattern and energy constantly flowing through that. Well, we want to make new patterns. There's a type of therapy that they might do where like you look at a pencil and you move your eyes around while you think about traumatic things, because it forces your brain to associate with those traumatic things with different parts of your mind than you were using otherwise. This is kind of the same thing. You want to just get your mind used to making new associations, new emotional patterns for its belief in yourself. You're creating intentionally a new belief for yourself. Why are we doing this? Well, besides the fact that those individually are helpful, a big problem in today's society is men don't know how to be vulnerable. And vulnerability needs to be our strength so that we can be authentic, we can express our feelings genuinely. And to me, vulnerability means just being what you really are, showing what you really are, not hiding it. That's vulnerable. And in the context of women and dating women, when you're vulnerable, they can be vulnerable. And women need to be vulnerable to have intimacy with you. So it's important that you lead with vulnerability. And when your vulnerability is just your weakness and your trauma from your past and all this horrible shit, and then whenever you aren't feeling vulnerable, you're confident and you're happy and you're jacked and you're powerful and you're this big man, but then the second you feel vulnerable, you melt and collapse, that's a big problem for you. It's going to make intimacy hard. It's going to make emotions hard. It's going to mean that every time you really care about someone, they walk all over you because you're uncomfortable with your vulnerability. And then when you don't care about them, you're in control and you're going to feel powerful, but you're really weak. So instead, we want to do some intentional work on our vulnerability. We want to intentionally influence the ability to, when we're vulnerable, to not just be fear and trauma down there, but self-love, self-care, self-acceptance. This visualization, this meditation are going to be part of that, along with the gratitude list, along with the journaling, along with the exercise. It seems like I'm piling a lot on you guys. And, you know, perfect isn't required here. Progress, not perfection, in the recovery community said a lot. Same thing here, man. But doing these things, starting them now, being aware of them, understanding the importance of why they're important, you can make your own things around this as well. Thinking about extrapolating from why these will be helpful. You can make more. You can do your own versions of them. But I recommend doing all of these things. I believe like a concerted effort in big picture form, hitting all of them is way better. There's a compounding effect. They're not just additive. It's not like this plus this equals this plus this. It's like this plus this has a third extra bonus, you know, there's a synergy to it, is what I was looking for. So let's be synergistic. Let's overwhelm our negative self-beliefs with self-care. And that self-care and avoiding self-harm is going to help us feel self-love. We're going to talk about acceptance in a future video. We're going to talk about how to own our beliefs in the future video. But for now, we're just doing these little behavioral changes to really help unlock and get our mind in the right place. We're going to have a video tomorrow on self-acceptance and belief. So then we're going to have behaviors, we're going to have habits, and then we're going to have beliefs. And we're going to start working on all of that stuff and building it towards a social framework where we're interacting with other people and we're getting out and we're putting ourselves in situations. We're putting ourselves out there. We're saying compliments to strangers. We're talking to beautiful women. We are making new friends. You know, I always tell guys in the community, being with a beautiful woman is great, but it's not really impressive. You want to impress me, go make new friends, go make new connections, go make meaningful relationships. One night stands don't mean shit. And not to say that they're completely invalid, right? They're a form of expression and sexual emotional expression, but they are far from something to be elated over. To a man who isn't regularly having sexual experiences, that can be like manna from heaven, maybe. But that's the wrong orientation. That's the wrong framework. You want to be a man who's making meaningful connections with people, who's able to have intimacy with people, who's able to be powerful through his vulnerability. That way you can have powerful connections with everyone. And so this is going to be a part of that process. We're going to just completely shift our emotional realities and our beliefs. We're going to stop having negative beliefs. And this is going to be a start for that. Again, meditating even a minute a day and building on that. And visualizing, using scripts if you need to, or writing your own for yourself to believe different things so that they can come to empower you. So that way your unconscious becomes empowered, not crippled by the trauma that's inside you or the past associations or things you've been through. Instead, it can be these powerful new mental realities that you're building for yourself over time. And they will build over time. This isn't necessarily immediate. Some guys take this right away and it's an instant shift. Other guys, it takes time. But this is part of that process, part of that growth. Just like exercise, you will start seeing improvements right away, but the real effects are going to be noticeable down the road. Same thing with this. Let's start now. 30 days to self-love, self-belief challenge. Day 2. Same shirt, obviously, as video 1, because I'm filming a couple of these back to back just to get some in the can, so to speak. But thank you for being here, guys. I appreciate you. If you have questions or comments, leave them in the group below. You're probably supposed to say hit the subscribe button because this is YouTube, but this is early on in the channel. We're not worried about that. Just do the work, and let's get engaged. Join the community on Facebook, 700 guys or so, and it's growing. Come on out and be a part of it. Thanks, guys, for being here.